Let me ask you something. When you woke up this morning, what did you expect to become today? Most people don't expect to grow. They just expect to get through. They wake up to survive the day, not to dominate it. But if you ever want to change your life, you have to make a decision, not to be better someday, but to be better every single day. Let me ask you something. When you woke up this morning, did you make a decision to grow, or did you just decide to get by? Because there's a massive difference between people who commit to growth and people who settle for comfort. Growth is not accidental. You don't stumble into excellence. You commit your way into it. The truth is, comfort is the enemy of greatness. Every time you choose what's easy, you are building a habit of mediocrity. And every time you choose what's uncomfortable, you are strengthening the muscle of mastery. Most people want success, but they don't want the stretch that comes with it. They say they want more income, more peace, more purpose, but they keep choosing the things that cost them their future just to protect their feelings today. That's not growth. That's avoidance. Growth begins the moment you stop running from discomfort and start learning from it. Pain is not your punishment. It's your preparation. Every storm you go through is shaping something in you that calm days never could. You cannot commit to growth and stay loyal to comfort. One of them has to go. If your goal is to get better every day, then you must start seeing discomfort as a sign that you're on the right track. Every challenge, every resistance, every tough decision, it's all feedback that you're growing. The reason most people never reach their potential is because they run from what's designed to strengthen them. The person who says, "This is too hard," never realizes that hard is the hammer that builds strong character. Growth doesn't start when everything is perfect. Growth starts when you stop waiting for perfect conditions and start working with what you have. The perfect time to grow is not tomorrow, it's now. Every minute you spend waiting for the right time is a minute you could have been transforming. Stop asking for an easier life and start asking for stronger habits. Stop asking for fewer problems and start asking for more wisdom. The moment you shift your focus from ease to excellence, life starts moving in your favor. Here's what happens when you commit to growth. You begin to outgrow environments that once felt comfortable. You start noticing conversations that don't feed your purpose. You start losing interest in things that drain your focus. Growth separates you from average. It's not that you think you're better than anyone else. It's that you finally realized you were made for more. You can't fly if you keep nesting where it's safe. Growth also means accountability. You can't say you want to level up and keep blaming everyone around you for where you are. You have to own your results. Growth means looking in the mirror and saying, if it's going to change, I have to change. Your life right now is a reflection of your standards. If you want more, raise your standards. Don't lower your dreams to fit your comfort. Raise your discipline to match your destiny. The higher your standards, the smaller your excuses become. When you truly commit to growth, you stop chasing approval and start pursuing alignment. You stop trying to impress people and start trying to improve yourself. The people who are truly growing don't need to announce it. They're too busy building. Growth is quiet, results are loud. The seed doesn't make noise while it's growing underground, but when it breaks through the soul, the world notices. Keep growing in silence and let your success speak when it's time. Commitment to growth is not a one-time choice, it's a daily decision. Every morning you decide again. You decide whether you're going to repeat yesterday's patterns or rewrite today's possibilities. Growth doesn't require perfection. It requires persistence. You may not get everything right the first time, but the person who keeps showing up always beats the one who quits halfway. Even small steps count when you're moving forward. Progress compounds. One small act of discipline today could multiply into transformation a year from now. So when you wake up tomorrow, don't just ask, what do I need to do? Ask, who do I need to become? Because growth is not about doing more. It's about becoming more. It's not about collecting achievements. It's about developing character. The world doesn't reward people who are comfortable. It rewards people who are committed. You can't grow and stay the same. You can't expand and stay safe. You can't step into purpose while clinging to comfort. Every level of growth requires a version of you that doesn't exist yet. The question is, are you willing to meet that version? Are you willing to go through what it takes to uncover who you really are? Growth demands sacrifice. It will cost you time, habits, and sometimes even relationships. But what you gain in the process, clarity, strength, wisdom, and purpose far outweighs what you lose. Growth is not supposed to feel good. It's supposed to do good. The discomfort you feel is not a signal to stop. It's a sign that something greater is being built inside you. Your life moves in the direction of your most dominant thoughts. Before you do anything, before you build anything, before you become anything, you have to decide what kind of thoughts you're going to feed your mind with. Because if your mind is starving, your potential will suffocate. Every day, you feed your body without hesitation, but most people neglect the one thing that determines how far they can really go, their mind. You cannot walk into success with a starving mindset. The world will always try to feed you negativity, distraction, and doubt. That's why you have to make a conscious choice to feed your mind something that builds you, not breaks you. The quality of your life will always follow the quality of your thoughts. If you want to elevate your circumstances, you first have to elevate your thinking. You can't expect abundance with a scarcity mindset. You can't expect growth if you're constantly consuming things that drain your belief. Every morning when you wake up, you have two options: feed your faith or feed your fears. One will move you forward. The other will keep you stuck. When you feed your mind faith, ideas begin to flow. Creativity awakens, energy multiplies. But when you feed it fear, confusion grows and progress dies before it even starts. Most people don't realize their thoughts are being programmed every single day by what they allow in. Music, movies, news, social media, it's all food for your mind, but not all food is nourishing. Some content might entertain you, but it also distracts you from purpose. Every time you scroll through drama, gossip, or negativity, you are feeding your mind junk. And just like your body, what you consume mentally determines how strong or weak you become. You can't live on a diet of mental fast food and expect the energy of greatness. Greatness requires clean mental fuel. Feed your mind before you feed your body, because your body can't take you where your mind refuses to go. You can be physically strong and still mentally weak. You can look good on the outside and still be falling apart on the inside because you haven't learned how to control your thoughts. Success doesn't start with what you have. It starts with how you think. Every successful person has mastered the discipline of directing their mind toward what they want, not what they fear. When your mind is strong, problems don't disappear, but your perception of them changes. You stop seeing obstacles as walls and start seeing them as doors waiting to be opened. When you feed your mind truth, you begin to silence lies. When you feed it wisdom, confusion fades. When you feed it gratitude, complaining loses its power. The mind is like a garden. Whatever you plant and water will grow. If you plant weeds of doubt and fear, that's exactly what will fill your life. But if you plant seeds of faith, discipline, and vision, those seeds will eventually become your harvest. The only reason most people never see change is because they keep watering the wrong thoughts. You can't speak victory while thinking defeat. You can't expect growth when your mind is focused on limitation. You have to be intentional about what you expose yourself to every day. Read something that stretches your vision. Listen to voices that challenge your excuses. Speak words that align with the person you want to become. Every great transformation begins with a renewed mind. You can change your clothes, your address, even your career, but if you don't change your mind, you'll find yourself right back where you started. The renewal of your mind is not a one-time event. It's a daily practice. You renew it with knowledge, with wisdom, and with truth. Every day, before you pick up your phone, pick up your purpose. Before you scroll through notifications, scroll through inspiration. Your first thoughts of the day set the tone for everything that follows. If the first thing you see is negativity, your energy starts low. But if the first thing you feed your mind is something uplifting, something that speaks to your goals, your mindset begins to rise to meet your vision. You can't pour out excellence if you're filled with noise. You can't lead others if you're constantly feeding on confusion. Protect your focus like it's your future, because it is. When you feed your mind the right things, you begin to attract the right opportunities. People think success is about luck, but luck is just preparation meeting opportunity. Feeding your mind daily is preparation. It sharpens your awareness. It allows you to recognize what others overlook. It gives you the courage to take the risk others are too afraid to try. The person who invests in their mindset daily never runs out of inspiration because they understand their mind is the factory of their future. You can't expect extraordinary results with ordinary thoughts. You have to think higher than your circumstances, higher than your fears, higher than your past. If you feed your mind consistently, eventually your reality will catch up to your mindset. Don't wait for your situation to change before you start thinking better. Start thinking better and your situation will change. The thoughts you entertain today are designing the life you'll live tomorrow. Every single day before you feed your body, make sure you feed your mind with truth, wisdom, and possibility, because the mind you feed is the life you create. You don't have to be perfect to make progress, but you do have to be consistent. Perfection is the illusion that keeps people paralyzed. They wait until they feel ready, until the timing feels right, until everything lines up perfectly. And because of that, they never move. Progress doesn't come from perfection, it comes from persistence. It's not about doing everything right, it's about refusing to quit when things go wrong. You can improve your entire life by focusing on being 1% better every single day. That 1% might not look like much today, but compounded over time, it becomes transformation. The problem is, most people measure themselves against an illusion. They look at someone else's highlight reel and compare it to their behind the scenes. They see the finished product of another person's journey and forget that behind every success story is 1,000 moments of uncertainty, mistakes, and failure. You don't see the process, you only see the progress. And that comparison robs you of your confidence. The only person you should ever compete with is the version of yourself you were yesterday. If you can be even a little wiser, a little calmer, a little stronger than you were before, then you're already winning. Perfection is the enemy of progress because it convinces you that anything less than flawless isn't worth doing. But progress is messy, growth is uncomfortable. Excellence is born out of repetition, correction, and patience. You don't learn by getting it all right. You learn by being willing to get it wrong and try again. Every failure carries feedback. Every mistake holds a lesson, and every setback builds strength. The person who keeps showing up even when it's not perfect always beats the person who's waiting for the perfect time to start. You have to learn to celebrate progress, not criticize it. Most people are too quick to point out how far they still have to go instead of acknowledging how far they've come. That mindset kills motivation. If you're always measuring your worth by how far away you are from your goal, you'll never feel good enough to keep going. But if you take a moment to recognize small wins, you'll build momentum. Momentum creates motivation, and motivation sustains discipline. Every great achievement is built on 1,000 small victories that nobody noticed along the way. Perfection says, you're not ready yet. Progress says, start anyway. Waiting for perfection keeps you stuck in potential. You tell yourself you're planning, but really you're procrastinating. The truth is, you don't need a perfect plan. You just need to take the next step. Clarity doesn't come from thinking. It comes from moving. You can't steer a parked car. When you start moving, even imperfectly, direction becomes clearer, confidence grows, and skill improves. The person who dares to start even unprepared will always outperform the person who never begins. When you focus on progress, you stop fearing mistakes because you understand they're part of the process. Progress is not a straight line. It's a series of climbs and falls, wins and lessons. Every fall prepares you for the next rise. The road to mastery is paved with imperfection. Think about anyone who's great at what they do. They didn't become that way overnight. They practiced when no one was watching, failed when no one cared, and improved when no one believed in them. Progress is quiet work done consistently over time. You have to train your mind to recognize the difference between failure and feedback. Failure only exists when you stop learning. If something didn't work, that doesn't mean you failed. It means you just discovered one way it doesn't work. Now you're smarter, wiser, and more equipped than before. Progress isn't about speed, it's about direction. Even slow progress is progress if you're moving toward purpose. Don't despise small beginnings, because every giant oak tree started as a small seed. Growth is invisible before it becomes undeniable. The moment you stop trying to be perfect, you free yourself to become excellent. Excellence is not about never making mistakes, it's about mastering the lessons that mistakes teach you. Excellence is built one decision, one effort, one adjustment at a time. It's a continuous climb, not a single leap. If you're doing something today that stretches you, that challenges you, that pushes you outside your comfort zone, you are progressing, even if it doesn't look like it yet. The truth is, progress feels slow while you're in it. You rarely notice change as it's happening because transformation grows quietly like roots beneath the soil. You'll only realize how far you've come when you look back and realize that what once overwhelmed you no longer phases you. That's growth. That's progress. It's not glamorous. It's not instant, but it's powerful. Every little effort you make compounds. Every small act of discipline builds a foundation that can't be shaken. Stop waiting for perfect. Stop waiting for permission. Start where you are with what you have and trust that progress will reward persistence. The gap between who you are and who you want to be is closed one consistent step at a time. Perfection is a myth. Progress is a choice. Every single day you have a chance to improve something, your mindset, your skill, your habits, your effort. And if you keep improving, even just a little day after day, that small progress will eventually become the transformation you've been praying for. If you want your life to have real meaning, learn to serve others. The world tells you that success comes from how much you can get, but the truth is significance comes from how much you can give. You don't grow by holding on, you grow by pouring out. The more you give, the more capacity you create to receive. When you focus only on yourself, your world stays small. But when you focus on serving others, your world begins to expand in ways you could never imagine. Service is not weakness, it's wisdom. It's understanding that your gift wasn't meant to stop with you, it was meant to flow through you. When you help someone else win, you strengthen the very qualities that help you win too. The most fulfilled people in life aren't the ones who collect the most rewards, but the ones who create the most impact. They understand that every person they serve adds value to their own growth, because every act of service develops character. It builds patience, humility, empathy, and leadership. When you give without expectation, you open the door for blessings that money can't buy. You can't outgive purpose, and you can't outgrow contribution. The more you give, the more you grow. The problem is that most people are waiting for more before they start giving. They say things like, once I make more money, I'll help others, or when I'm more successful, I'll give back. But they miss the truth that giving is not something you do when you have more. It's something that creates more. The moment you begin to serve others with what you have, no matter how small it seems, you activate increase in your life. Generosity is a seed. It doesn't subtract, it multiplies. Every time you add value to someone else, you plant something that will eventually grow back into your life multiplied. Serving others doesn't always mean grand gestures or massive contributions. Sometimes it's as simple as listening when someone needs to be heard, encouraging when someone feels invisible, or teaching something that took you years to learn. Every act of kindness, every word of encouragement, every moment of patience is an investment in your own growth. The more you focus on making life better for someone else, the more your own life begins to align with purpose. When you serve with intention, you attract opportunities that align with your heart. There's a powerful shift that happens when you start asking, "Who can I help?" instead of "What can I get?" The first question leads to fulfillment. The second leads to frustration. Because when life becomes all about getting, it's never enough. There will always be someone with more, and comparison will drain your joy. But when your life becomes about giving, every day has purpose, every interaction has meaning, and every success becomes a platform to serve even more. The secret to happiness is an accumulation, it's contribution. You were designed to make a difference, not just a dollar. When you serve others, you develop the kind of strength that comfort could never give you. You learn patience when you deal with difficult people. You learn grace when you choose kindness over criticism. You learn humility when you help someone without recognition. Every act of service refines your character. It shapes you into a better leader, a better thinker, a better person. Service pulls you out of self-centeredness and pushes you into purpose. It reminds you that the world doesn't revolve around you, but you have the power to make it better for others. If you make your mission to add value, success will chase you because people are naturally drawn to those who uplift them. The more problems you solve for others, the more valuable you become. If you focus on helping enough people get what they want, you'll eventually get everything you want. That's not manipulation. That's multiplication. The marketplace rewards those who serve with excellence, with integrity, and with heart. Your influence increases in proportion to the number of people you impact. Service is also the cure for stagnation. Whenever you feel stuck, stop focusing on what you lack and start asking how you can give. Energy flows through contribution. When you serve others, you stop living in limitation and start living in expansion. You stop waiting for opportunities and start creating them through the value you provide. Giving transforms scarcity into abundance because it shifts your attention from what's missing to what's meaningful. The most powerful leaders in history were servants first. They didn't just command, they cared. They didn't just accumulate, they contributed. Greatness is not measured by how many people serve you, but by how many people you serve. The person who lifts others up never stays low for long. Service elevates you because it forces you to rise above selfishness, fear, and pride. It opens your heart and expands your vision. It gives your success a soul. Every single day, you are presented with opportunities to serve, to smile, to help, to give, to teach, to care. These moments may seem small, but they're sacred. Every seed of service carries a future harvest of growth. When you build your life on the principle of serving others, you build a foundation that no failure can shake. Because when you make other people's lives better, your own life naturally gets better. You don't grow by taking, you grow by giving. And the more value you create for others, the more value life will return to you. Discipline is not something you find, it's something you decide. Every single day you're faced with two choices, the easy path that feels good now or the hard path that feels good later. The easy path gives you comfort, but the hard path gives you character. The easy path gives you pleasure, but the hard path gives you power. Discipline is the bridge between desire and destiny. Everyone wants to be successful. Everyone wants to grow. Everyone wants to change. But only a few are willing to do what it takes when the excitement wears off. Motivation gets you started, but discipline keeps you moving when motivation disappears. Most people wait until they feel ready to act. They wait for inspiration, for energy, for the perfect moment. But discipline doesn't wait for feelings. Discipline is doing what needs to be done whether you feel like it or not. Feelings are temporary, results are permanent. You can't build consistency on emotion. You build it on commitment. When you start making decisions based on your goals instead of your moods, your entire life begins to shift. Every great achievement in history was built by someone who chose discipline over distraction. They didn't feel like doing it every day, but they did it anyway. That's what separates winners from wishers. Discipline is not punishment. It's empowerment. It's the art of mastering yourself before the world ever recognizes your mastery. It's saying no to what's convenient so you can say yes to what's meaningful. It's choosing progress over pleasure, long-term gain over short-term comfort. The people who seem unstoppable are not more talented, they're more consistent. Talent might open the door, but discipline keeps you in the room. You don't have to be the smartest or the strongest. You just have to be the most committed to doing the right things daily. Every small decision counts. The little things you do every day shape the person you become. Discipline is not built in a single moment of greatness. It's built in 1,000 unseen moments of obedience. Every time you wake up when you said you would, every time you keep a promise to yourself, Every time you push through resistance instead of quitting, you strengthen your mental muscle. That strength compounds over time until it becomes who you are. The habits you repeat in private determine the rewards you receive in public. When you start practicing discipline, it will feel uncomfortable at first because you're breaking patterns that have kept you stagnant. Your old habits will try to pull you back into comfort, but you have to remind yourself why you started. Discipline is a decision you renew daily. It's not something you conquer once. It's something you commit to again and again. Every day you wake up, you have to choose your standards all over. You have to decide that your purpose is more important than your feelings. Discipline also teaches you freedom. Most people think discipline limits them, but the opposite is true. Lack of discipline leads to chaos, and chaos steals your freedom. When you can't control your impulses, you become a slave to them. But when you master discipline, you gain control over your time, your focus, your money, and your emotions. True freedom doesn't come from doing whatever you want. It comes from having the strength to do what's right even when you don't want to. The person who is disciplined has peace because they know their actions are leading them somewhere meaningful. You can't fake discipline. It will always show. It shows in your work ethic, your consistency, your energy, and your results. People who live without discipline always chase quick fixes and temporary wins. They jump from one thing to another, hoping something will change, but nothing does because they never stick long enough to master anything. The disciplined person, on the other hand, plays the long game. They understand that slow progress is still progress, and small steps taken daily lead to massive transformation. The reason most people quit isn't because they're incapable. It's because they're inconsistent. They let one bad day turn into a bad week, one mistake turn into a bad habit. Discipline doesn't mean you'll never fail. It means you'll never stop getting back up. You have to learn to be faithful to the process, even when the results aren't visible yet. Growth takes time, but every act of discipline plants a seed that will produce fruit later. You just have to keep watering it with effort, focus, and patience. There's a version of you waiting on the other side of discipline, a version that's stronger, wiser, calmer, and more capable. But you can't meet that version by doing what's easy. Every time you choose discipline, you're stepping closer to that higher version of yourself. You're proving that your vision is stronger than your excuses. You're showing that your future means more than your comfort. Discipline builds dignity. It creates confidence because you start to trust yourself. You realize that you can depend on you. Every great destiny requires daily discipline. Not once in a while, not when it's convenient, but every single day. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your habits. Your habits are shaped by your discipline, and your discipline is shaped by your decisions. Success doesn't come from what you do occasionally. It comes from what you do consistently. Discipline isn't glamorous. It's not always fun, but it's always worth it. The life you want is waiting, and the key that unlocks it is the discipline you practice today. Most people only know how to be grateful when everything is going right. They celebrate when the doors open, when the opportunity shows up, when the money comes in, when the results are visible. But real strength is when you learn how to give thanks in the middle of the struggle. Gratitude is not just for the good moments. It's a weapon for the hard ones. It shifts your perspective from what's missing to what's meaningful. It takes your focus off the problem and puts it on the purpose. When you learn to thank God in the process, not just the outcome, you develop a peace that circumstances can't control. Every blessing you have right now was once something you prayed for, but human nature forgets easily. We take what was once a miracle and treat it like it was owed to us. Gratitude reminds you that nothing is guaranteed and everything good is a gift. It reminds you that even when life doesn't go as planned, there's still a plan at work. Sometimes the delay is a lesson. Sometimes the disappointment is direction, and sometimes the hardship is preparation. Gratitude doesn't deny the pain. It redefines it. It helps you see that even in the chaos, there's purpose being formed in the background. When you choose to be thankful in difficult moments, you take control of your attitude. You might not be able to control what happens to you, but you can control how you respond. Gratitude is a decision, not a reaction. It's saying, I don't have everything I want, but I'm thankful for everything I have. When you live in that mindset, negativity loses its power over you. Complaining creates more problems, but gratitude creates more peace. The energy you bring into a moment determines what you'll get out of it, and gratitude brings an energy that opens doors and invites solutions. Being grateful during the process builds faith. It teaches you to trust even when you can't trace the outcome. You begin to understand that just because you can't see progress doesn't mean it's not happening. Seeds grow underground before they break through the soil. Growth is often invisible before it's undeniable. Gratitude is what keeps you patient while the roots are forming. It's what keeps you grounded when life feels uncertain. When you can thank God in the waiting, you're preparing your heart for the harvest. Gratitude also shifts the way you see challenges. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? You start asking, what is this teaching me? Every difficulty carries a lesson. Every struggle is developing strength. Gratitude allows you to extract meaning from moments that would otherwise break you. When you face opposition with a grateful heart, You stop seeing yourself as a victim and start seeing yourself as a student. You realize that life isn't happening against you. It's happening for you, shaping you into someone capable of handling the blessings you've been praying for. When you practice gratitude daily, you start to see abundance everywhere. You stop waiting for big miracles to feel blessed because you start recognizing small miracles all around you. The breath in your lungs, the roof over your head, the people who care about you, the lessons you've learned, the opportunities you've survived. Gratitude magnifies the good and minimizes the bad. It turns ordinary days into extraordinary ones. When you're thankful, you become magnetic to more blessings because gratitude multiplies what you already have. The more grateful you are, the more life gives you to be grateful for. Some people say they'll be thankful when things improve, but they've got it backwards. Things improve when you become thankful. Gratitude doesn't follow the blessing, it attracts it. It aligns your heart with abundance and opens your eyes to possibilities that complaining blinds you to. You start seeing opportunities where others see obstacles. You start finding solutions where others see problems. Gratitude elevates your perspective so you can see the bigger picture instead of getting stuck in the small one. Gratitude is also a mirror of humility. It acknowledges that you didn't get here by yourself, that every step forward was guided, supported, or influenced by something beyond your own power. It reminds you that you are part of something greater, that you are both a receiver and a giver in the flow of life. When you live with gratitude, you stop taking credit for everything and start giving credit to the source that makes everything possible. That humility keeps your heart soft, your spirit teachable, and your blessings sustainable. There will be moments when gratitude feels unnatural, when life feels unfair, when everything seems uncertain. Those are the moments that test the depth of your faith. Gratitude doesn't mean you ignore pain. It means you refuse to let pain define your attitude. It means you look for light even when it's dim. You might not understand everything now, but being thankful helps you hold on to hope. Gratitude gives you strength to endure seasons that others give up in because it keeps your heart anchored in what's right, not what's wrong. When you build a habit of gratitude, it becomes your default response. You stop waiting for life to be perfect before you appreciate it. You stop postponing peace until things make sense. You realize that every breath is a blessing, every challenge is a teacher, and every day is an opportunity to grow. Gratitude turns the process into purpose, the waiting into worship, and the struggle into strength. It changes not just your circumstances, but your character, because when you can thank God in the process, you are already preparing for the victory that's on the way.